Jesus prophesied that lawlessness will abound. It is possible to perceive a first-century biblical fulfillment for these words. Jesus prophesied, because lawlessness will abound, the love of the majority will grow cold. Jesus then added, addressing his first-century disciples, "Truly, I say to you, that this generation will by no means pass away until all these things take place." Jesus prophesied specifically that lawlessness will abound. Later in the first century, it was written to the church of the Thessalonians that the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. So here, when addressing a church later in the first century, it was said that the mystery of lawlessness was already at work. Jesus prophesied, because lawlessness will abound, the love of the majority will grow cold. Later in the first century, it was written in Revelation that Jesus himself addressed 7 churches and said to the majority of them, 5 churches, to repent. Here, to repent could also have involved to repent specifically from lawlessness. As for example, it is written to repent from her sexual immorality. Sexual immorality being lawlessness. So here, at that point later in the first century, the majority of the churches that Jesus himself addressed here would have needed to repent, including from lawlessness, which could show that lawlessness could have had abounded at that point later in the first century. Furthermore, Jesus mentioned specifically that because lawlessness will abound, the love of the majority will grow cold. Jesus said to the church in Ephesus to repent, specifically because I have against you that you left your first love. So here it was included among the reasons why a church needed to repent, that it had left its first love. In other words, we could say that their love had grown cold because at that point later in the first century, lawlessness could have had abounded.